Orders, instructions, and requests are commonly used with an infinitive structure, to plus base form of the verb, like to do, to be, to stop, to make, and so on. If introduced with told, ordered, or any other verb that introduces an order, an instruction, or a request, you have to add the person to whom the order was given. For example, the teacher said, "Be quiet." The teacher addressed the students and she asked them to be quiet. So, you have to add the person to whom the order was given, and you have to change be to the infinitive structure to be. The teacher told the students to be quiet. Similarly, in example number 2, the teacher said, "Please do not make so much noise now." The teacher addressed the students, or you can say the teacher addressed us. So the teacher asked us, and instead of please, you write the word politely. The teacher politely asked us or asked the students, "Do not make," changes to not to make. You put the adverb not and then you put the infinitive structure to make. So much noise now changes to then. So the teacher politely asked us not to make so much noise then. If the speaker is making a personal request, the indirect speech form becomes subject plus reporting verb plus if plus subject plus request. So if you want to change a sentence from the direct to the indirect speech, you have to follow this pattern. For example, my friend said, "Can I borrow your radio tonight?" Here we have a request, so when we convert this sentence into the indirect speech, we have to follow the pattern given above. I start with the subject, my friend, then I add the reporting verb, said, that changes to asked because I have a request, so my friend asked, then I put if, plus the subject, I changes to he or she because it refers to my friend, can changes to could, borrow, your, the pronoun your changes to my radio, and tonight changes to that night. She asked if she could borrow my radio that night. How do we convert questions into the indirect speech? When indirect questions are reported, the question mark should be omitted and it's replaced with a period. The verb and the subject must be inverted. The reported speech form becomes subject plus reporting verb plus question word plus subject plus verb, or subject plus reporting verb plus if or whether plus subject plus verb. For example, Peter asked, "When is the next general election?" Asked is the reporting verb in the past tense. When is the question word. Is the verb in the present tense. The next general election is the subject and it's a question. If I want to convert this sentence into the reported speech, I have to remove the question mark and replace it with a period. Invert the subject and the verb. I have to keep the question word when. So Peter asked when the second general election was. Is, the present tense, changes to the past tense. Sandy said, "Did you vote for this candidate?" This is a yes or no question. There is no question word. This means that in the reported speech, I have to use if or whether. Did vote is the verb in the simple past tense. In the reported speech, it changes to the past perfect tense. This changes to that. She wanted to know if I had voted for that candidate. Remember to replace or change the pronoun you to I. John asked, "How long will it be before you publish the results of these elections, father?" Whom did John ask? He asked his father. So John asked his father. How long is the question word. I use it in the reported speech. Will changes to would. Before you publish, you, the pronoun you, must be changed to he. Publish is a verb in the present tense. You should change it to the past tense. The results of these changes to those elections. So John asked his father how long it would be before he published the results of those elections. Now, when a question is asked and someone replies, how do you convert to the reported speech? Have you had your lunch? Sam asked. Yes, Paul replied. In this situation, Sam asked a question to Paul. So Sam asked Paul, have you had your lunch? This is a yes or no question. So in the reported speech, you have to use if or whether. So Sam asked Paul if he, you changes to he because it refers to Paul. Had is the verb in the simple past tense. You have to change it to the past perfect tense. And your must be changed to his because it refers to Paul. So you say, Sam asked Paul if he had his lunch, comma, and Paul replied. You can't say and Paul replied yes. You have to say and Paul replied that he had. So Sam asked Paul if he had his lunch, and Paul replied that he had. When you have an exclamation, there are no definite rules for changing into a direct speech. You often use say, remark, exclaim, greet, shout, and so on. For example, what a big house, he said. When you convert this sentence into the reported speech, you say, he said. You remove what, you replace it with that. You remove the question mark and you replace it with a period. He said that it was a big house. Hi, John, Tom said. So Tom is greeting John. Lovely day, isn't it? When you convert this sentence into the reported speech, you say Tom greeted John and said or remarked that it was a lovely day, and you remove the tag question. In mixed types, like don't play with this knife, Sally, Mrs. Chan said, you will hurt yourself. You change this sentence this way. Mrs. Chan told Sally not to play with that knife. This has been already explained. You will hurt yourself is something she added. Mrs. Chan added. So she added that she would hurt herself. She refers to Sally. So Mrs. Chan told Sally not to play with that knife and added, what is the subject of added? It's Mrs. Chan, that she would hurt herself, that Sally would hurt herself.